This week, yung theme ng aking buhay ay decluttering. I'm sure most of you have heard about the KonMari method or the Marie Kondo method, right? And she talks a lot about how decluttering can simplify your life, and having a house full of things that spark joy is what you should maintain or keep. And minimalism or simplicity sounds so simple, but it's so hard. My gosh, when you think about decluttering, okay, go to the root word, which is clutter, right? And clutter, what does clutter mean to you? At least for me, it means having lots of stuff, unhealthy attachments to worldly things. Um, and sometimes we fill our spaces with many things to cover up something or to compensate for something that we don't have. Um, and this week, I realized that to declutter is not just to declutter things, but also thoughts, and declutter also relationships. And the fourth is our social media time. First, decluttering things. Ang hirap, no? Ako, I have two, I just have two glasses. I have my pambahay glasses na medyo gas-gas na gas-gas na. Yan, pambahay glasses. Yan. And then I have my work glasses, my going out glasses. That's it. I only have two pairs. And I wear them out. As in, gas-gas na gas-gas siya, diba? I don't buy any other glasses. I just maintain two. So, basic things, I'm okay. My clothes, my closet is pretty simple. And thanks to my cousins and my titas, thanks to their hand-me-down clothes, I don't really have to shop much. I keep it simple. But what I find so difficult to declutter, okay, it's funny, but I look at my basic things, essentials like eyeglasses and clothes. They're pretty minimalist. But when I look at other things, like I have bins like this of stuff that are not important. Hairband, eye mask, mga lalagyan ng kung ano-ano. Parang ayoko muna silang harapin. Parang I'm too busy and I don't want to throw it away. You can't sell them. If you donate it, I don't know who's gonna use it. So parang, oh sige, you set it aside and wait for another day when you can face it, right? And then you have all these paper stuff. And I wouldn't say they're junk because they are thank you cards. Thank you cards. They are, what do we have here? My blood test results. You have wedding invitations. What else? More thank you cards. Diba? With the work that I do, this is my treasure. Thank you cards and appreciation notes from students and from retreatants and what else? Of course, how can I throw this away? Love notes from my mom, gift tags, really touching messages attached to gifts. I mean, seriously, how can you throw these things? And it got me thinking, bakit ganun? Yung mga bagay na wala naman talagang value, like, yun, paper, right? I have lots of paper. If there's one thing you'll find a lot of in my room, in my closets and my shelves, lots of paper. This room is a fire hazard. So from books to my thesis, to scratch paper, to thank you cards, they're so much harder to let go of. And it's not because they have inherent value, but because of their sentimental value. And other things that, that are supposedly of value in terms of cost, parang it's okay. So long as I don't need it anymore, it's easy for me to let them go. So, first thing about decluttering I learned this week about things is decluttering is a healthy detachment from things that no longer spark joy, as Marie Kondo would say, or things that no longer serve a purpose or have already served its purpose, diba? So there are certain things look around you. I'm sure you have stuff in your shelves and in your closet. Those things have been there for more than a year. And my mom and I try our best to keep this habit that whenever we buy, say, a new shirt or a new pair of pants, whatever goes in the closet, there has to be something that comes out, and ideally more than one piece. And we would, put all these things aside, and by the end of the year, we have like maybe at least two luggage of things that we can either donate or share or sell. And it's amazing how much we accumulate in a year. Decluttering things. No matter how simple your lifestyle, it's just unbelievable how much stuff we accumulate in a year. And for those who do eco bricks, for those who collect those water bottles and masipag sila na maglagay ng mga used plastic, yung mga one-time used plastic in those bottles. Yun, that's another way of decluttering and also lessening the carbon footprint and lessening the impact that our trash has on the environment. So that's one, 'di ba? So uso ngayon yung condoing, hindi condominium kundi Marie Kondo. It has now become a verb. Decluttering on things that have already served its purpose or is no longer purposeful in our lives. But you know what? That's actually the easiest thing to declutter things. I realized this week that the harder things to declutter are things that are not tangible, like our thoughts. Oh my gosh, my thoughts this week have been really deceiving me and have been discouraging me. Self-doubt, comments of other people, disappointing experiences can cause our thoughts to go haywire, right? And it's normal. It's normal. We all have that slump during the week or during the month. When we get hormonal during the month, there are occasions when we just feel less than cheery, and we get easily affected by what other people say, especially if what they say is not what we want to hear. So decluttering on the thoughts, keeping our thoughts simple. For one, it's decluttering the negative self-talk. And the second is complicating our lives. Oh my gosh, how many times in a day do we overthink? 'Di ba? Should I do this or not? This or not? And by the time you make a decision, parang hindi na relevant yung decision mo because of your overthinking. Analysis paralysis. So that's the second thing we all need to be aware of every now and then to declutter these distractions in our head, the lies, lies, the lies that we entertain in our minds sometimes. As I said in the recent retreat, sometimes the voice of the devil, the voice of temptation, of discouragement is so strong, more than the tiny gentle voice of the Lord in our hearts. So we need to declutter on negative self-talk and also overthinking, which is hard. So that's the second one. Decluttering also includes decluttering on relationships. And it's not to say that we forget these people or we push them away, but as we grow older and as we go a certain path, we do have friends who might not be of the same wavelength anymore. To me, this is the most painful to declutter relationships because there are some relationships I wanna cling on, and clearly the signs are there that that person has already served the purpose, or the lesson that we had to learn from that person has already been learned, or sometimes that person maybe we didn't learn the lesson yet, so we meet other people along the way who can reinforce the lesson that we need to learn. Am I making sense? Yeah. So the past few weeks I've been disheartened and disappointed by some people who have been very, very close to my heart, but they have chosen their own path. And no matter how much appeasing or running after you do, if the person has already found a new path, right? Or maybe it's a sign also of growth that maybe one person is growing a little faster than the other. There's an invitation for us to also declutter on our relationships. Um, some of the people I know, they declutter their Facebook friends list, which is actually might be helpful, but it might also, I don't know. It's kanya-kanya, no? Kanya-kanyang proseso. Keep those people who bring joy, who spark joy, ika nga, who spark joy, who may not exactly be like you, but who support you, respect you, who are there. Rain or shine are always there. You can access them. People who lift you up. These are the people you keep. And if there are people who constantly pull you down, make you self-doubt, then perhaps they're going through their own, their own journeys, their own kumbaga sa Tagalog, may pinagdadaanan sila. At it's sometimes it's easy for us to assume that it's our fault, that this person is no longer talking to us or is detaching themselves from us because it's our fault. Please don't think that. And I think it's a reminder for myself also, never to belittle oneself or to doubt our value and our worth, especially in the eyes of the Lord. So there was one post there was one, what do you call this, poster I posted recently on Facebook, that if people are rude to you, and they don't explain to you why they are not talking to you anymore or they're detaching themselves from you, don't take it personally. Rudeness and all this negative behavior from the people we love, especially from our friends. Sadly, sometimes it's people we look up to, or our mentors, or people who, who we really value. Maybe it's also a sign of their own issues or concerns, insecurities. And we have to check ourselves every now and then. We do our share in humbling ourselves and checking, did I do anything wrong? Did I say something that may have offended the other? But if your answer is no, I've done everything I could. I've reached out. I've kept my, my share of the agreement or something like that. Then maybe it's just a matter of decluttering. And decluttering here doesn't mean you throw that person away, but we say thank you. Thank you for these people who come into our lives. Thank you for being there when I needed you. Thank you when I needed to learn this lesson. I learned it from you. But maybe right now it's either my pace is a little slower or your pace is a little slower. So either way, I just have to, loosen the strings and just let that person go. And trust that if this person's really part of my, the bigger scheme of things, the bigger blueprint of my life, then they will come back. Right? We trust that they will. But if this person has already fulfilled his or her purpose in our lives, then thank you. Thank you, and we move on from that. So that's the third, decluttering on relationships. There's only so much time and energy we have in a day, and it might be good to ask ourselves, who do we spend most of our time and energy on? And do these people spark joy, right? Do they lift us up? Do they make us grow? Do they love us? Love us enough to stay with us and not let go? These are the ones we keep, right? These are the ones we keep. And the fourth one, I just thought of it before starting this Facebook Live, is decluttering on social media time. It's so hard. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. I mean, when you're stuck in traffic, or you're waiting for your Grab cab to arrive, or basta there are minor delays in your day, what's our go-to time killer? Our phone, right? Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's so hard not to go on Facebook or to, to check on people's lives. Parang it's addicting. Truth be told, it's really addicting. And to think I wasn't born with the cell phone. I was born to the generation of the typewriter. Hindi nga beeper eh. O, sa mga hindi nakakaalam ng beeper, yun, mga high school na yun, di ba? Anyway, to think I wasn't born into this generation of the cell phone and the iPad. And yet, gosh, it can be really, really addicting, especially during idle moments. So, yeah, it's good to ask, first of all, what do we post? It might be good to declutter also the things that we post if it doesn't spark joy in people's lives, and if it's mostly selfies, um, or I don't know, it just steers like negativity or fear. There, ask yourself what kind of content you post, and also the amount of time that we eat up during the day for social media activities. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I suffer from this every now and then, especially when I'm just really tired and I don't want to move. And I just want to, entertain myself with the stories of other people. Well, there are some stories that are inviting and inspiring and that uplift you, but there are also others that are just purely a waste of time. So, four things, right? Decluttering things, thoughts, relationships, and social media exposure. Um, Keeping things simple is not easy, but it's the most liberating thing that, one of the things that can liberate us, right? Um, What's na ba yun? Just wanted to share with you, there's this article that Father Ruben Canseco, the Jesuits of the Society of Jesus, he shared with us in one of our CEFAM classes, this article on creation-centered spirituality. And he said that one of the ways by which we can be creation-centered, we can be better stewards, is through simplicity. It says here, dignified simplicity is not a glorification of poverty. Creative deprivation, aka simplicity, leads you to an inner growth of the spirit, which in turn moves you to reach out. Reaching in leads to reaching out. So it makes sense, no? If you deprive yourself, not deprivation, glorification of poverty, as I read earlier, but rather creative deprivation, keeping things simple so that you have room. There's so much excess, there's so much abundance when you keep things simple, whether it's things, keeping simple with the things that you buy and own. I mean, how many lipsticks do we need, right? And how many notebooks do we need? Ako nga I'm just really lucky. I get lots of notebooks every year. People know I like paper. But keeping it simple, just having enough of what you need, means you'll have a lot of excess, abundance left over for you to share. And that's an invitation for us to grow in the spirit. And in turn, it moves you from reaching in. What are the things in your thoughts, in your heart, that are no longer serving a purpose? And when we declutter that, then we would have more time, energy, and inspiration to reach out to others. So simplicity leads to sharing. Essentially, that's what Father Ruben was trying to get at. Simplicity leads to sharing. So, as for the letting go part, which is very painful, letting go of things, of thoughts that we are used to, or thoughts that are parang comfort zone natin. Letting go of old friendships and people who have left us, whether physically or have gone moved to another country, or have just chosen to detach. And also saying goodbye to needless time, useless time online. These are all difficult goodbyes, right? But number one, saying goodbye might be a hello for someone else. You know, saying goodbye to old clothes might be a hello and thank you to whoever's going to receive it. Saying goodbye to negative self talk and overthinking can be a hello, you know, like inviting again, making room again in our hearts and in our minds for our Lord Jesus to be King of our hearts again. And saying goodbye to certain relationships that may have died a natural death, or you know, people who have just voluntarily chosen to detach might be a hello for other friendships, other relationships that might be even more life-giving and that might even help us grow further. And saying goodbye to some social media time, you know, at least moderating it. Tama ba? Yeah. Moderating our social media time, saying goodbye to that, is saying hello to more meaningful conversations on the dinner table. Or, what else? Catching up on sleep. Or catching up on, you know, kamustahan with people we haven't really gotten in touch with. Or praying for the people we promised to pray for. So, decluttering is healthy attachment, and it's not easy, but it's the way of life. To declutter, it means to say goodbye to things that have served its purpose, but it's also a thank you. It's no regrets. It's not like, I wish it never happened in my life, or I wish I never bought this thing. It's a thank you. It's a way of saying thank you. Thank you next, diba? Thank you next. It will forever be part of me, and I'm grateful. But for now, I am letting you go, and I'm setting you aside. Tough, but with the Lord's grace, and you know, we ask Him the grace and the strength and the humility to let these things go, and in exchange, He always gives us something beyond our wildest dreams, something even better. So anyway, here's ending my reflection on decluttering. And yeah, thanks for listening. Oh my gosh, ang dami ko talagang kailangan busisiing gamit dito. Pero, ganun, sadyang ganun, no? What comes in, something must come out. Something must be let go. So, feel free to comment at the bottom if you have your own reflections on decluttering. I noticed recently these videos have been very one-way, like unidirectional, unidirectional, unidirectional. I would love it if this could be more of a conversation, no? Multi-directional. So, feel free to comment at the bottom. Somebody else who's watching this might benefit from your insights and your wisdom. What have you decluttered lately, right? Or what does decluttering mean to you? And how is this whole video relevant to you? Whatever, just feel free to share at the bottom. Yun lang. Good night, everyone. Tutuyin ko na yung buhok kong basang-basa. Good night.